Hey friends, happy Tuesday, the 4th of April. It's nice to be with you. I'm Father Bill Hill, priest at Holy Spirit Catholic Community in Rock Springs, Wyoming. I'll give you a reflection based on the daily readings. They're linked down below. When I'm done, click the link, read the readings prayerfully 2-3 times, then turn off the screen, spend some time with God before you move on to other things. We do have a parish penance service scheduled for tonight with priests from the area joining us. I don't know what the weather's going to do. Do you know what the weather's going to do? Keep an eye on Flock Notes or on Facebook or on the parish website. And as a plan comes together, we'll make sure that we let you know it. I have not yet scoped out the playbook for canceling or shifting parish penance services during Holy Week. So say a little prayer for discernment if you would. Yeah, we'll see what the day holds. We're going to still enter into prayer and thank God for a little technology and what hopefully are warm houses that are blocking the wind, right? Tuesday of Holy Week, obviously it's Holy Week, so we've got the second prophecy of the suffering servant from Isaiah, and then a story of the Last Supper and the betrayal of Jesus out of John's Gospel, all right? So the readings today definitely hit some downbeats. I was praying into that. I was like, hey, the end of the week, not to be flip, but the end of the week, what are we going to focus on? It's going to be, torture, government execution, and the tomb. So it's okay if we hit some downbeats, right? The first reading, Isaiah, the second oracle of the suffering servant. And these suffering servant prophecies, there are 4 of them. The scholars argue, are we describing a historical figure? Are we describing Israel? Christians have read these prophecies from Isaiah, especially speaking of the Christ. There's one word that I hear in the first reading, and that is loser. And I don't mean that in a judgy way, but just in that way that we can use that in our everyday parlance, right? That second paragraph, though I thought I had toiled in vain and for nothing, uselessly spent my strength. The person that's describing it is talking about wasting their life. The stuff that I shot after, I failed at every time. And I thought, what's the point? It was all pointless. That's a painful, painful place to pray into. That's a place most of us will not acknowledge inside of ourselves, much less share that with God. Then the rest of this prophecy is about how God is the one that changes things, and God is the one who reverses things. And of course, go ahead and pray that and think about Jesus mocked and ridiculed by his own people, executed by the occupying government, and how God does incredible reversal and raises him on the 3rd day, right? And so, we don't get resurrection in the empty tomb without Good Friday. The Gospel of John. The way that I was taught John's Gospel is that the Gospel writer, who we generally associate with John, goes to great lengths to always show that Jesus knows what's going on and is always in control. So when you read this Gospel passage, if you go, this is confusing, it seems like everybody should have known that Judas was betraying Jesus. Jesus is like, the person that I give the morsel to, and then he dunks it. And he's like, here you go, Judas. And then everybody's like, I wonder who's going to betray Jesus. The author is going to great lengths to make us understand that this is not an accident, that Jesus didn't miscalculate. Jesus knew exactly what was going on all the time. And everybody else around him was confused and uncertain. Notice here, one of his inner circle betrays him, sells him for silver, meditated. Not an accident. Whoops, dang it, Jesus, I didn't know. No, super intentional. And the other one is that the head of the student body, the chief of his disciples, is going to deny him 3 times before the rooster crows. This is painful. These are details of this story that we know, but still, to spend a little bit of time with them. And I don't know about you, but I have such a high theology of who Jesus is. And to be mindful that at the end of his earthly life, every marker that we would use to describe, influencing people and succeeding in life wasn't what Jesus was about. And yet this is the one that we worship and say is God in our midst. I think that is worthy of spending some time bringing again our values before the Lord and just being with Jesus. If the word isn't too offensive, as a loser, as a person who's betrayed by his friends, a person who's abandoned by the one that he expects to be first of the class. And that God is in the midst of all of that. And if we've ever experienced any of that, or if we've ever watched any of that, to just know that God is so often the one who brings reversal and change and transformation. May we continue to walk with Jesus, who emptied himself in this holy week. May we continue to experience God's grace even in pain, suffering, and loss. Let's be praying for folks that are having a hard time. God bless, friends.